everyone, so today we're going to be looking at the filter theory, which is one of the theories of attraction and also of maintenance. So just remember it's about formation and also maintenance. There's like two parts of it, so it filters into what we've already talked about why people form relationships, including to the physical attractiveness theory and including self-disclosure, but it also fits into this new bit that we're going to learn about why we maintain a relationship. So filter theory basically suggests that we choose romantic partners based on a series of categories, and that's because there are so many people in the world to choose from. We've got to narrow down the number of people to choose from to make it a bit easier for us to make a good and effective choice. So that's why it's called a filter, think like a coffee filter, like filtering something down. So there are three levels. There are the social demography level, then the similarity and attitude, and then the complementarity, and that goes down in a funnel. So the social demography is at the top of your filter, and followed by similarity and attitude, and then complementarity. So I'm going to talk through each of the parts of the filter, and the first part is the social demography section. And basically what this says is that there are a number of factors that lead to a potential partner meeting in the first place, and therefore that some people are more likely to meet than others. And this is because of homogamy, and it's the idea that we're more likely to form a relationship with someone who is socially or culturally similar to us. So if they live near to us, we're more likely to meet them than if they live far away. If they have the same level of education as us, so for example, you're more likely to meet someone who's doing A-levels because you're in a place that does A-levels, so you're more likely to meet someone at school who's in your college or at your school. Or if you're at university, you're more likely to meet someone at university. It could also be your social class, so obviously people from a similar social class have a similar geographical location normally, and therefore you're more likely to meet someone from the same social class. Equally, religion, you often go to that church or that mosque or that place of religious worship, and therefore you're more likely to meet people from the same religion as you. And similarly, you're more likely to meet people of the same ethnic group as you, because people of the same ethnic group tend to live in similar areas, and therefore you're more likely to meet these people. So that's the first level of the filter. It's about picking people based on where you fit in society already, I guess. So it's not an active thing. We're not actively looking for people of a similar class to us, for example. The second level is about our similarity and attitudes. Now, last time we talked about similarity in terms of physical attractiveness. This is actually talking about our similarity in terms of our personality. So this theory says that we're more likely to choose people who have similar personalities to ourselves, so similar values and beliefs. For example, we might have you're more likely to pick someone who has the same beliefs about whether they want children or not, or the same political beliefs. And Kirchhoff and Davis, who are the two people who created this theory, said that this is particularly important in people who are in the first 18 months of their relationship. Okay, so although in this section, the social demography section, we were talking about who we form a relationship with, we're now talking about why a relationship is maintained. So it's maintained if we have a similar attitude to the other person. The final level of the filter, so once we might have been in a relationship with someone for 18 months and we realise that or 15 months, and we might realise that they're not very similar to us, so we might actually get rid of them and start at the top of the filter again. If they get through to this level of the filter, so 19, 20 months into our relationship, different things then become important to us. So no longer is it so much about similarity, although we want to be kind of similar to the person. We also want to complement that person, and they need to complement us. So they need to have skills in something that you might lack. So if one person, for example, enjoys cooking dinner and the other person is terrible at cooking dinner, then you complement each other, because one of you can cook dinner and maybe the other one can do the washing up. So you fit together nicely. You support people's not flaws, but the things that they struggle with, and you and vice versa. And Kirchhoff and Davis found that long-term couples found that this was more important than similarity and attitude, or who you're where they were from or what cultural background they were from. And this is because they reported that it made them feel whole, like as in the top picture, like two pieces of a puzzle fitting together. So it made them feel like they were complete now. So those are the 3 stages of the filter theory. You might just want to look here at a quick example about Jade and Elliot. And this says about the fact that they met when they were 13 years old on a paper round. And 2 years after that, they started going out with each other and madly in love. And they spent all their time together watching rugby until they broke up about 3 years later. And they lost touch, but 44 years later, these childhood sweethearts rediscovered each other. There are several different parts of the theory here. So you've got the fact that they're both 13, so they're going to be like of a similar age to each other, which is also another factor of social demography. On a paper round, which suggests that he like lived near to her, so that's also social demography because it's talking about like the geographical location. And then they started going out and they were madly in love and they spent all their time together watching rugby, so they had similar attitudes in that case, like they felt similarly about rugby. And then 44 years later, they rediscovered each other and finally got married, suggesting that maybe now what's more important is like them complementing each other, having like spent more time together. Okay, so there's lots of different parts of the theory, and just make sure you're confident on all aspects of the filter. So if we're looking at the evaluation, it's good to think about the fact that there's always research to support this. And in this case, it's about the longitudinal study here about Kirchhoff and Davis did to create that they created their theory from. And they found that both similarity in attitude and complementarity were really important in people who had started relationships together, which shows those 2 aspects of the theory are really important in maintenance of a relationship. And then also we've got the fact that the evidence that the perceived similarity might be more important than actual similarity. So Kirchhoff and Davis would argue that your similarity and your attitudes is important, but actually people tend to believe they are similar to each other even when they might not actually be, and that perception of that similarity is more important. So as long as you can convince yourself that you're really similar, like, oh, I like that too. Think about when people like start liking things that they didn't like before to fit in with like the person that they're going out with, like suddenly liking football because like it gives you something else to talk about that you both like and you can both experience together. So maybe perception is more important than actual similarity, which is not what the theory says. Also, complementarity isn't always important. So some people suggest that they never move beyond the 2nd level of the filter, and actually that similarity was much more important than complementarity. So maybe that's actually not as effective in showing maintenance in a relationship. And finally, lots of the studies were collecting data pre-2000. So this is before like real proper online internet dating. And therefore we've moved a lot on from there, and maybe social demography, including our geographical location and our religion or our ethnic group, maybe those things aren't as important anymore when we can speak to anyone across the world from any kind of culture, and we're exposed to more cultures now. Okay, hopefully that was helpful for you. Please make sure that you're really clear on the 3 different levels of the filter and what is included in them. See you next time.